Since the 1900s, automakers have been struggling to find an efficient way of getting people and their things from point A to point B. But a man named Rudolf Diesel found a new way of making engines. He created an engine that ran just on vegetable oil and found that it worked just as well as a gasoline engine. Then, he made an engine that was able to run on a combination of refined petroleum, a waste product after making gasoline, and small amounts of vegetable oil. And the diesel engine was born. After Diesel's mysterious death in 1913 over the English Channel, engineers began using his technology in train, boats, planes, and utility work vehicles. About 23 years after that, engineers at Mercedes-Benz put a 4-cylinder diesel motor in a car made for everyday use. Because of the diesel engine's generally more robust construction and high torque, diesel engines mainly became the working horses of the trucking industry. However, it wasn't until the 1970s all the way through the 1990s that diesel engines in normal everyday cars were beginning to become a hit. Here's what Jeremy Clarkson, made famous through the BBC's Top Gear and more recently Amazon's The Grand Tour, had to say about diesel engines.
A few years ago, experts decided that petrol was fundamentally evil, and that using it to fuel the engine in your car was about the same as running around a town center in a polar bear suit, stamping on baby bats and shooting passerby. As a result, many people decided to sell their petrol-powered cars and buy a diesel instead. There were some sacrifices, of course. There was a little bit of clatter on startup, and power was lacking at the top end, but on the upside, costs were down, and best of all, there was less frequent trips to the pump. And once again, the Arctic was full of some smiling polar bears, rolling around and playing in the snow with their cubelets. But now, the very same experts who told us to switch to diesel are saying that it is, in fact, the fuel of Lucifer, and that anyone who uses it in their car is guilty of murder. They say if you stand on a street corner on a sunny day and watch a diesel-powered vehicle pull away, you will see a haze. And that the haze is made up of unburned particles that will work their way into our children's lungs and kill them. They say the diesel suit will also cause deformities and death, and that walking down Oxford Street is the same as smoking 1,000 cigarettes for 200 years. So what VW had done is they had two different kind of running modes. They would have one type of running mode that would produce lower emissions on a dyno or a tester at the emission site. Then, once you were done with that, you could drive off and be happy again, because your car would go back into a performance mode, which in turn would produce higher emissions and the car would be running the way you wanted it to. That's like having that one uncle that everyone knows is happy but doesn't really know why. And well, you realize he's actually not happy because he lives in your grandmother's basement. So right here behind me, what I have is the 2009 Volkswagen Touareg 2. And this is perhaps the best vehicle that is affected by the scandal. It has a 3.0 liter V6, which Volkswagen says produces 225 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. Wow, this is extraordinary if this is what 406 pound-feet of torque feels like. You can fit 5 people in the back, and you have maybe even enough room for your dog. And if you really wanted to, you could grab an elephant and stuff it in the trunk and still have enough room for everyone to basically just get up and walk around. But the best thing of all is the noise it makes when you step on the pedal. Wow, that is fantastic. And the power that comes with that noise is absolutely tremendous. So I did some research. I found that APR, an American tuning company, tested the car and they found that the Touareg had 406 pound-feet of torque, which the factory Volkswagen said it had, but it had 236 horsepower. That's almost an extra 10 horsepower unaccounted for. But overall, in my opinion, this vehicle is very well put together. It's like riding in the smoothest, least expensive tank that you could buy. The steering is tight, the overall ride is fantastic, and the comfort is just great. However, so VW is offering a fix for owners. Volkswagen says that it will offer a software update and your car should be good to go. However, that is only for the 1.2 and the 2.0 motors. Now, if you have a 3.0, which we have behind here is a V6, that they're going to have to find some other way of fixing it to lower the carbon footprint. Otherwise, the only flaw that I have to say are that the polar bears are going to be very, very sad and that Volkswagen cheated. But boy, did they cheat well.